It looks like Democrats are adjusting their strategy to call out and expose Donald Trump. And what they're doing is, I guess, a form of reverse psychology or just setting these traps along the way. And they're saying to Donald Trump, look, Donald, you made all of these promises to people on the campaign trail. So we're going to hold you to those promises, and where these promises, whether it's things like no tax on tips or whether it is capping interest rates on credit cards, or whether it is automation versus non-automation at the docks, whether it's your support of unions, which you claimed, which you actually don't support unions, but you claimed you supported unions. We're going to put you on the spot, and we're going to introduce legislation, and we're going to use your exact words from the campaign in the legislation, and we're going to show that you actually don't support these things. And we're going to go one by one and say, here's the promise. Okay, we're just going to draft that, and we're going to submit that to Congress to see if Congress will pass that and see if you'll sign it. And ultimately, when Donald Trump doesn't sign it, Democrats will be kind of setting this up. They're setting the trap for the midterms in 2028 to say, look, he's a liar about everything. We've already seen Donald Trump showing that he was a liar about his position on H-1B visas. Donald Trump's whole position on the campaign trail in 2016 and in 2020 was that he was going to make sure that Americans get those jobs. He said, I'm going to make sure America goes H-1B visas. I'm going to come up with a way to get rid of them. I'm not going to show you the clips of him, but we did a great comparison of what he said in 2016, what he said in 2020, and what he said at New Year's. And it's just very different things. He went from saying these are American jobs, we're going to get American jobs in these STEM jobs in science, tech, engineering, and mathematics. And now he's saying Americans can't do these jobs. And the thing is that there's a nuanced approach to this. There's a lot of American engineers who can actually fill these jobs. Just people like Elon Musk and the tech bros don't want to pay American talent. There is American talent to fill this job. Now, there may also be a need for H-1B talent as well from India and other countries, but there is American talent there as well. There's a smart, nuanced way to have conversations without just constantly saying they're eating cats and dogs, or they're coming for, they're going to take over your house, or the fear mongering and all of that. So here's what Democratic Senator, here's what Bernie Sanders said, actually. Bernie Sanders says the following. Sanders goes, during the recent campaign, Donald Trump proposed a 10% cap on credit card interest rates. Great idea. Let's see if he supports the legislation that I will introduce to do just that. To be clear, he's more of an independent, but caucuses with Democrats. But here he's saying, okay, you want to do the 10% cap on credit card interest rates? Then let's do it. The other thing that Bernie Sanders is saying, and he penned an entire op-ed in The Guardian, is, all right, you're having RFK Jr. say, make America healthy again. Let's talk about health. And I think Bernie realizes, Senator Sanders realizes, that Americans are focused on health, housing, education. Those are top of the mind issues to Americans, and Trump's not going to deliver on his promises. So it's important, though, that Democrats put him on the spot right away on these issues that, frankly, are actually Democratic issues that Democrats didn't message as powerfully or as directly as they should. So here's what Bernie Sanders says. We should be leading the world in terms of life expectancy, disease prevention, low infant and maternal mortality, quality of life, and human happiness. Here is how we actually make America healthy again. So you see there, okay, you want to make America healthy again? You want to maha? Okay, let's do it. So here's how we reform our dysfunctional healthcare system, Bernie writes. He goes, over the past year, I've had the privilege of serving as chair of the U.S. Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions. As I leave that position, let me reflect upon where I think our country should be going in healthcare and the obstacles we face. We are the wealthiest nation on earth. There is no rational reason as to why we are not the healthiest nation on earth. We should be leading the world in terms of life expectancy, disease prevention, low infant and maternal mortality, quality of life, and human happiness. Sadly, study after study shows just the opposite. Despite spending almost twice as much per capita on healthcare, we trail most wealthy nations in all of these areas. So if we're going to if we're going to make America healthy again, RFK, let's do the things that actually people want. Let's make America healthy again. So Medicare for all. Healthcare is a human right. The function of a rational healthcare system is to guarantee quality healthcare to all, not huge profits for the insurance industry. The United States cannot be the only wealthy nation that does not provide universal health care. It's not acceptable that while spending almost 18% of our GDP on healthcare, millions of Americans delay going to the doctor and 60,000 Americans die each year because they can't afford the care they need. I just want you to think about that number. What's the function of government at all if it's taking away life? I mean, government should do things for people, right? It shouldn't be used as a tool to torture, harass, and harm. It should be a tool to help. 60,000 Americans are dying each year because they can't afford health care. Just think, that's a huge freaking number that should be addressed. By the way, even like in Canada, their right-wing party, the Conservative Party, Pierre Poilievre, Doug Ford, at the federal level and at the provincial level, PP at the federal level, Doug Ford at the provincial level, they still believe in universal health care, at least for now. Lower the cost of prescription drugs. As Americans, we should not be paying by far the highest prices in the world for life-saving medications. It's absurd that while the pharmaceutical industry enjoys huge profits and benefits from U.S. taxpayer research, 1 out of 4 Americans can't afford the prescription drugs their doctors prescribe. We must cut prescription drug prices in half by making sure that we pay no more for medicine than Europeans or Canadians. Why are we paying more for the same exact drugs that are in Canada and Europe? We should pay the same price. Why? To line the pockets of pharmaceutical executives so that they can buy 10 private jets instead of 1 private jet? It's ridiculous. And so Bernie and Democrats are saying, okay, Donald, you want a MAHA? Here's what we support. And as I've said, if you've been watching my videos lately, in these episodes of the MeidasTouch podcast, I said a few things. 1, Democrats need to do ABC. Always be campaigning. You can't just wait until an election and then be like, hey, everybody, we're here. You gotta start now. Meet with the unions, meet with people, go into the towns, shake people's hands, go face to face. Just don't do that 90 days out. Campaigning should start now. And then also Democrats need to be Democrats. I mean, these ideas that I'm reading, if Republicans want to say this is socialist or whatever, let them say it. People like these ideas that I'm sharing with you. So don't buy into the Republican framing, and Democrats shouldn't become like Republican light on these issues. Paid family and medical leave. Workers should not have to go to work when they are sick. I mean, could we just think about these concepts? 60,000 Americans die each year because they can't afford health care. 1 in 4 Americans are unable to afford their prescription drugs. Just think about that. And people are forced to go to work sick, and then they get other people sick. Mothers and fathers should have ample times to stay at home with their newborn babies. A parent should not get fired when they stay home with a sick child. We must guarantee at least 12 weeks of paid family and medical leave to every worker in America. And if MAGA wants to say this is woke, let them say whatever they want to say. This ain't woke. This is what Americans want, by the way. Reform the food industry. Large food corporations should not make record-breaking profits, making children addicted to processed foods, which make them overweight and prone to diabetes and other diseases. As a start, we must ban junk food ads targeted to kids and put strong warning labels on products high in sugar, salt, and saturated fat. Longer term, we can rebuild rural America with family farms that are producing healthy and nutritious food. Raise the minimum wage to a living wage. Millions of workers should not have to worry about how they'll pay the rent or buy foods for their kids. Working class Americans live far shorter lives than the rich because of the stress of trying to survive on a paycheck to paycheck existence. Stress kills. Stress makes us sick. We must raise the minimum wage to at least $17 an hour. By the way, that's at least what. Whenever people have this debate too, they're always like, that's going to be bad for the economy and CEOs are going to have to fire workers. So this actually has the opposite effect. Bull crap. Bull crap. Okay. No one has that same discussion when the CEO's salary goes up by tens of millions of dollars. There's never a discussion. Yeah, but now you're going to have trouble hiring people. No, there's this culture of idolizing CEOs making hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. And look, this is a capitalist society. You can make money, but you got to take care of all Americans. And Trump lied to people and claimed he was going to do that. So Democrats, own your issues that are Democrat issues. Why are you letting them, the Republicans and MAGA, take your issues, but then use them to defraud people and lie to them about it? So I like this strategy. Introduce the legislation, but then message the heck out of it over and over again, and then go into the communities and say, look what we tried to do. Look what they blocked.
The start of the new year is the perfect time to get organized, set goals, and focused on what matters most. For me, the top priority is my financial wellness because let's face it, every dollar counts. That's why I love Rocket Money. They've made it so easy to track all my subscriptions, cancel the ones I forgot about, and even lower my bills. With Rocket Money, my financial goals feel achievable. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. You can see all your subscriptions in one place and know exactly where your money is going. For the ones you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can help you cancel them, no long hold times or confusing websites. Their dashboard gives you a clear view of your expenses across all your accounts, and you can even set a personalized budget with custom categories to keep your spending on track. Rocket Money will alert you if your bills increase, if there's unusual spending, or if you're close to going over budget. And with their new goals feature, they will automatically save money for you, whether you are paying off debt, saving for a house, or just building your emergency fund. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/MeidasTouch today. That's rocketmoney.com/MeidasTouch. rocketmoney.com/MeidasTouch.
Lower the work week to 32 hours with no loss of pay. People will live longer, healthier lives if they can spend more time with family and friends and have the opportunity to enjoy leisure time. Advancements in technology, automation, and AI must benefit workers, not just billionaires on Wall Street and Silicon Valley. We can make those things actually coexist and work together, and workers will be more productive if they're not stressed and if they can actually spend time with their family. Combat the epidemic of loneliness, isolation, and mental illness. Too many Americans are struggling with intense anxiety and disease of despair, alcoholism, drug addiction, and even suicide. Not only do we need to greatly increase access to mental health care, we must rebuild our sense of community and create a culture in which we better enjoy and appreciate each other as human beings. We must also take a very hard look at the impact smartphones and social media are having on our mental and physical health. He goes on to talk about address climate and environmental crisis. Every American is affected when the Earth's temperature rises and the air we breathe is polluted. Climate crisis and extreme weather disturbances will cause more widespread suffering and disease, economic disruptions, and population dislocation. By the way, when I grew up, remember what the most popular show was, or a popular show? Like Captain Planet. You know, people weren't like, oh, that's such a woke issue and Green New Deal socialist. If Republicans want to frame helping the planet and environment as a bad, negative thing, Defend it. Stand by your principles, Democrats, and put forward legislation and show where you stand. Show where your priorities are. Stop existing in the Republican framework of issues. Sanders goes, create a high-quality public education system. Lifelong education is a human right and should be obtainable for all in a wealthy nation like ours. Health, life expectancy, and economic well-being are often tied to educational attainment. Instead of spending $1 trillion a year on the military, we should make certain that all Americans from childcare to graduate school are able to enjoy free, high-quality education and job training. Let's be clear, the way forward to creating a healthy society is not radical or complicated, and many of the components that I've outlined already exist in countries across the world, and this is something that we need to address together. So they're putting Trump on the spot. Now, when it comes to the caps on interest rates for credit cards, I'm sure you didn't even know this happened, but back on May 2024, a judge, one of these MAGA judges, blocked the Biden rule to cap credit card late fees at $8. We have to educate the public who's blocking the priorities that matter to the public. A lot of these issues are complicated or could be complicated. How does a bill it shouldn't be all that complicated. How does a bill become a law? How do agencies work? Which judges are appointed by which president? What are the priorities of the president? And what actually went down? So when Trump says, hey, labor, I'm with you, but then dismantles the National Labor Relations Board, which is the forum that allows labor to be recognized as having rights as a union and to file grievances, you go, you're lying. We know you're lying. You've come out and you've made all these statements against the rights of unions to even exist. Heck, your buddy Elon Musk said that unions shouldn't exist because they create a lord versus peasant dynamic. That's what Elon Musk and Trump think about unions, that they create a lord. That's actually what they say to manipulate your thought process about unions. The lord v. peasant dynamic are the billionaires at Mar-a-Lago, the lords, and the peasants are the people who they're keeping making less than a living wage, with bad health care, without access to education, without the ability to advance. I see other Democrats following this tactic, this strategy, and introduced the legislation. We've seen, I've interviewed him, Democratic Congressmember Ro Khanna. Americans' outstanding credit card balances jumped 8.1% higher over the past year. Still, the average credit card interest rate's 21%. Americans are in need of a chance to catch up. We need 10% federal caps on credit card interest rates. Trump said he was going to do that. Let's call him out for it. Congressmember Tom Suozzi from New York's 3rd Congressional District. I'm going to interview him soon. He did a guest essay in the New York Times, the wake-up call America needs. And what he's saying is, okay, Trump went out and said he was going to do all these things. He basically stole issues that Democrats have been actually fighting for. And Trump's saying these things because he's lying to his audiences. So, okay, let's show that he lied. The same way, he's going to get exposed with, I'm going to stop the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. Just introduce it. And if the bill becomes a law, that's a win. If Americans can get the things I outlined before, that's a win. It is. But we know it's going to happen. Call their bluff. Call their bluff and say, let's do it. And when they block it, call them liars. It's simple, and don't over-intellectualize it. Just say they're liars. They lied to you. They rug pulled you. Pulled the rug right from under you. Anyway, let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.